Okay, guys, you were in for a real treat because we were coming back from lunch with another guest speaker. If you were here last year, you had the pleasure and joy of being in this incredible woman's presence, Kristina Bartold, who is one of our very special friends that, as you have already heard, we met in a room just like this. And we became, even though we met in like the final 30 minutes of the event, good news was we renewed to go back 3 months later, and so then we continued to see and be in each other's energy. And she just does so many incredible things, like seeing her run an amazing agency that takes your idea to impact. And this is our agency that Kristina and her team run my podcast. They help us with our branding and marketing for Benchmark and personal brands. And seeing her not only become a mom, build high vibe women, she really is an absolute superhuman. So soak up everything she has to say. We are actually going to do this in a Q&A style. So we will take the floor, the three of us, and then we will open it up to all of you guys for a few minutes at the end for your own Q&A.
And we highly recommend connecting with Kristina outside of here if you don't already, if you haven't already, because as wonderful as she is with what she's going to talk to us about, which is going to really delve into the social component that's important to business, but also the community and the collaborative component that's so important to business. That's really her wheelhouse, and she's great at that. But as you'll see, the more you get to know her, the more you realize she's just really good at everything. And you can speak
especially sports.
Anything. Yes. She can 100% add value in every single conversation, period. It's just who she is. It's a gift of hers, and she chose to have Social Snippet as her vehicle for it. But ultimately, whatever it is that you need help with, she's our go-to with a lot of stuff.
That's number one on my eulogy list. Like if I go, someone tell my husband he's cut.
He's
yeah.
That's right. So with that, we'll dive in.
Our Q&A is all about social media, collaboration, building community. Those are three things that all three of us find a lot of success with, and they're big pillars in our business. And we thought that would be really impactful for all of you based off of who you all are and who your businesses are.
And listening to like a lot of the situations that people are coming up with, that's the majority, I think, of what people need to be leaning into, I think.
Yeah.
So go through it.
Okay. Big picture questions. Ready?
Yeah.
How has the role of social media shifted for small business owners over the past 2 to 3 years? And what's the next big change you see coming, especially in how communities are built online?
So, love this question because I think that social media, who here loves social? Okay, there's a few people. Okay.
Andrew for sure in the back.
Andrew's like, what is social?
He's raising something else.
But yeah, so we're seeing with social, things are changing so much, right? Like it's hard to keep up with the algorithms. It's like, when we started the Social Snippet, there was no video. Like there were videos, but like not on social. And so there's no video for Matt's time growing up, but
not even the oldest one in the room.
Coming for you. But yeah, there was no video on social, and so like it was a different time, right? People were posting things, and then you'd write a caption, and then like literally 2 weeks after we started the Social Snippet, they were like, "There's these things called Reels," and we were like, "We wonder if video will take off," and it did. And so surprising. So we're seeing like a huge change, especially now with AI, and that's just something we can't deny is like becoming both like a tool and like a vehicle that people are using to better their content, to like grow their audiences, for better and for worse. And so I would say like the big things that are happening right now on social, we're seeing people really react to AI in a negative way. So really actually leaning into things like this, in person, leaning into the IRL, we're leaning into like conversations and community. And then the other piece of it is people leaning into heavily into AI, which is where they're getting AI to write all their captions, and they're getting AI, like we should be using AI as like an ideation tool, not like a facilitation tool of like the things that we're doing. So I would say right now that's the biggest stuff that's happening on social. And in the next few years, AI is only gonna get better. And the more that we use it, I think for social, like we're seeing like now you can, Riverside, you can make like 100 clips for every podcast, and they're not perfect, but they're okay. And it gives you a magic caption on later and all of these pieces, or you can go on ChatGPT and say, write me a LinkedIn newsletter and just send it out. But I think the human touch is going to become more and more apt, and people are going to be able to see it more and more. And I think those are the people that are going to win, are the people who have personal brands and they're really focusing on their story. Alex. But yeah, really focusing on their story and being able to bring that to life.
Okay, so follow-up question in
Yeah.
terms of world of entrepreneurs, especially small business owners,
Yeah.
maybe getting started fresh, is if they could only choose one platform to start with,
Yeah.
where would you recommend that they start?
Okay, I hate this question because it's so dependent on business, but I will say that I do think Instagram is the most primed for community. So like LinkedIn is great, especially if you have a corporate audience, but not a lot of people are posting on LinkedIn. So like, again, 1% of all users of LinkedIn post on there. So if you have a corporate audience or you're selling like higher ticket things, LinkedIn's a great place for you to be, but not everyone's there. So if you're like, I'm, selling $25 like programs, or I'm selling candles, like I probably wouldn't be on LinkedIn. That probably wouldn't be where I'd be. But if you have something where you have an awesome story, or you have beautiful photos or video, or like even you love to talk about whatever it is that you do, Instagram is very well primed for community for a few reasons. One being that like it's easy to DM back and forth with people. So on TikTok, who here likes TikTok or uses TikTok for business? Yeah. Not surprising. But yeah, TikTok is like beautiful and like raw and like people can engage. But in my experience, it's like you could come across a TikTok creator one time and never see them again, right? The funnel isn't built. I actually went to a like influencer event and I sat next to this TikTok like maven, like she had like a million TikTok followers. And I was like, oh, like, what are you going to do if, like, TikTok gets shut down? And she's like, oh, yeah, my life's over. Like, yeah, like, that's it. Because I don't have an email list. And I don't really funnel anyone into anything else. It's all influencer money that I'm making right now. But Instagram is better primed for, like, hey, like, you see the stories. Like, I'm connecting, your stories are your inner circle. Your reels are your outward reach, right? And so it's more primed for community. And I think just more primed for sales, in my opinion. And then people, like, mess with other things, too, like Pinterest. Pinterest isn't for everyone, I don't think. And then I just talk about Facebook groups. I think Facebook groups have their it depends on your audience. Like if you have an audience, I would say that's probably like 35 plus. Facebook's an awesome place for you to be, and like that's a great place for you to market. But yeah, and I was listening to a podcast today where someone's killing it with Facebook videos. I'm not, but I love that for them, So yeah.
I think on the back end of this too, and something that I went through, that my Instagram was shut down, and I went through it for a week before I paid thanks to a referral for someone to get it back for me, because I saw that as a marketing expense. But I really realized
how she justified it. It was marketing
as a marketing expense, paying for my friend in Turkey. But the power of also having additional outlets. So, we're talking about what you want to focus on that is best for your business and your brand, but also having that email list or having a podcast where you could be vanished from Instagram for a week, but you can still show up with what else you have in terms of those modalities, and also lean on community, because I leaned on some of my community because it was right when I launched my events for the season. And I was like, well, I have no way of sharing it, but I leaned on community to share some of that content.
Blessings. I was going to say too, Alli, and not to put you on the spot, but before we started working together, email list wasn't really something you were doing. Yeah, and so Alli runs these awesome events, and she had hundreds of people's email addresses, and just wasn't emailing them. And so that was such a missed opportunity, right? When your Instagram got taken away by the Lord, then you were like, oh no, I need to find another way to do it. And if you didn't have an email list, and say you didn't have a podcast, you'd be essentially like dead online, right? Like no one would know where you are. We know where you are because you have an email and you were able to be like, hey, I'm going to use this list, and you were able to make sales that way, right? And so it's more, and actually yesterday I was at an event for a woman and she had 100,000 followers on Instagram, and her Instagram got taken away. And the minute I was like, have you heard about this guy in Turkey? And she was like, it happened like 5 years ago. Like the guys in Turkey weren't doing that then. But yeah, like her Instagram got taken away, and she was like, that was a huge part of her revenue. And she was like, it's okay because my Instagram's going to come back and then everyone's going to follow me again. She has 10,000 followers, right? Like, because people aren't really looking for you that hard, and not in the back. She's incredible at what she does. Like, she's the best. But people aren't like, oh, I wonder where she went. Like, I'm gonna go look her up, right? And so, and she actually used her community, like all of her friends, to be like, hey, like post that my Instagram's back, and people did, which was I think very kind. But your Instagram or your TikTok or whatever can be gone like this. So really, your email's all you own, and so like really trying to nurture that, I think is like. I think that's actually what's going to set people apart, is like really being able to be multi-platform, but being in people's inboxes is the most valuable.
Make a good point with that, where you own your email list, right? And everything else is rented, and you don't know how long you're going to be able to live there for until your landlord tells you got to leave.
Yeah.
So knowing that and preparing for that is probably your best defense, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't ever control it.
And being omnipresent.
Yeah.
Not only on the social platform that you vibe with the most, but also in the other modalities, like what Kristina shared.
Mm-hmm.
In that breath, when it comes to community building online, any of the social media platforms, is there a common mistake that you'll see, especially newer entrepreneurs making over and over again?
Yeah. The big thing I think is the obsession with followers. So that's like a huge piece. Who's felt that? You like that you're on Instagram. Matt, you could put in more effort if you're feeling that.
I just press accept all the collabs.
Yeah. Hey, one day, Alli, just a very short story. Alli went to Alex and Layla Hermosi's like event, and then I'm looking at Matt's Instagram, and I was like, Matt, why is all your names in all capitals? And then I go to Alli's and I'm like, it's the same there too. And Alli's like, I'm at Layla Hermosi's event. I was like, Matt, you need to change your passwords. You need to change them. No, but it's like it's the obsession with followers over like really building a community, like really making those connections. So, you were kind of talking with us, Karen, today about how like, meeting Alli has been such an expansion for you, right? Like in making those connections and those relationships. That's more important probably than 100 Instagram followers, right? I find too, it's like a lot of our clients, like they become like obsessed with like, we have a client right now we're launching, and he's like, how do I get more followers? And I'm like, okay, you need to like talk to more people, build more collaborations. Like that's really the big piece. So I think if you're looking for something in your business, you should be the person going first in it. So like, are you engaging with people online? Are you following people? Are you DMing people? All of those things are a big piece of growing a business. And I think people just become obsessed with like the number rather than the relationships that they can build. Because if you had 150 customers, you'd be probably happy. Some of you would be like, oh my God, like I don't want that. But like, if you had 100, for me, it's like, I think about this all the time. I'm like, oh, I run a social media agency, but I only have 7,000 followers. If I had 7,000 people in a room, I wouldn't know what to do with them. But if I had 7,000 people in a room, like how impactful would that be? So I have to think about that when making my content and making those connections.
That makes sense. When does it make sense for you to decide to, or when you do decide to collaborate with other brands or other creators for that matter, when you decide it's the right time so as to ensure that both sides get value out of the equation?
Well, I learned everything I know about this from Alli. So Alli, Alli's my muse. But Alli and I have both had lots of success, I think, in that, where it's I remember when we had just kind of started High Vibe Women, little dinners when I met Alli for the first time. And Alli was like, do you give out swag? And I was like, no, who would give me swag? And she was like, yeah, you just ask people and they give you things. I'm like, it's weird. And then I went to her event, and I always talk about this. You know exactly what we're going to talk about. And so I went to Women's Bag Women, and I was like, why is there an Aperol Spritz cart here? Like, how did you get the Aperol Spritz here? She's like, I asked, and they came. I was like, oh, okay. So it changed the way I thought about things. But what's so important in those collaborations is just really honest conversations. And that's something we've definitely made mistakes in where, we've had collaborations with people and, expectations haven't been perfect, or, one person thinks one thing, another person thinks another thing, and there's some misalignment. But I think a few things, it's one, having those conversations up front. And I love to ask people when I negotiate them, it's what's a win-win for you? What's a win-win? And sometimes the win is something you could do in 1 second. It takes no time. I had a partner call the other day with a brand that ended up giving us maybe $5,000 for High Vibe Women. And they're like, do you know any web designers? And I was like, yeah, 90. And they were like, could you make any email intros? And I was so happy to do it. It took me 1 minute. I was like, bam, bam, bam. It's nothing to make an introduction for me. So I think it's just thinking about what's a win-win, talking about what a win-win is at the front, and then really over-delivering, which Alli does as well, which is we were kind of talking about this with Victoria, that it's if I do a collaboration with someone and I'm like, okay, we promised them a reel, I'm probably going to bring one of our content creators to make it. I'm not going to be like, oh, here's my juice shot. I'm going to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to bring in a Danny, and Danny's going to make it. She's going to, Danny makes amazing content, right? And so, you're going to want to invest in something like that, really just over deliver for the brand, so that it's easier for them to say yes a second time, for sure. But also, something that I think is really important, and we didn't talk about it yet, is this idea of signaling to other people. And this is something that I think is funny. It's if Victoria becomes I always get the letters mixed up. UGC. I'm like, yeah. A UGC creator, right? Yeah, I don't have to say creator. I don't think it's UGC. I'm like, oh, what's the C? So you start doing UGC for brands, right? And so say your first 5 aren't free. You're not paid for it, and you're doing this stuff. Other people see it, and maybe another brand sees it, and they don't know that it's free, right? They don't know that you're not being paid. So maybe for your next one, you're charging $100. And so it's the same thing for us with High Vibe Women, which was our first few sponsors, they were our friends. Like our friends who were like, I'll give you $1,000. And we're like, okay, like that sounds good. And, we built from there. And then now we have brands that reach out to us to sponsor because they see that sponsorship's happening. So even if there's little things that you can do that, like, I'm not saying to be dishonest. Like, I'm not saying like, be like, I'm sponsored by Nike. Like, these are the shoes I bought. Like, that's not what I mean. But if you got like awesome juice shots for an event or whatever, like Alli saying this like event was partially sponsored by Dose isn't a far reach, right? Like that's not far. And I think it shows to other people, okay, yeah, like Alli's in the content game. Dose trusts her and they're willing to give her product. Then I have a product and I'm willing to give it to her too. So I think the partnership piece is huge, but also it's like, it's not only about your partnership with that person. It's about like the bigger picture of like other partnerships you can get long-term.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is a great foray when talking about, social media and community. How is it, or is there a secret sauce to taking your social media followers and converting them into community that is then also going to buy from you?
Yeah. Great question. Again, so dependent on your niche, but I think it's consistency. Like, all the things you guys do. Like it's about consistency and showing up over and over and over again. And talking about things. You'd be surprised. I was even talking about this with my business partner today via text, because even High Vibe Women, our event, like we're like 75% sold out, and 3 people DM'd me today being like, I'm gonna buy a ticket in September, and I'm like, I hope a ticket's available for you in September. I hope that. But at the same time, I'm like, why aren't they buying now? Or like, but people are obviously thinking about it. Something that they're thinking about. You don't know that people are thinking about you, right? Like you need to talk about things over and over and over again. And when you're sick of them, it's probably sick of talking about it. It's probably still not enough. Like people just aren't seeing what you're doing enough to. I listened to this great Alex Hormozi episode about it where he was like, if you're making less than like $1 million, you should have one offer that you market over and over again, and you talk about it until you're blue in the face. Because like people just do not retain information like they used to. We see so much, and there's so many people who are thinking of buying from you. You might be on their vision board, Victoria, and they're following you. This has happened to us a ton of times. Where like out of nowhere, I posted the other day. I said, booking all our podcast launches for the fall. This woman reached out to me and she goes, I didn't know that you guys produce podcasts. I was like, that's so weird. We talk every week. Like, I have not, like, and she was like, I had no idea. And like, I have a podcast that I want to launch in September. Like, could you guys do it? I'm like, I talk about this all the time. Like, how do you not know this? But I was like, okay, I'm obviously not talking about it enough, right? And so I think when we're really trying to like build community and like create it into sales, the important thing is one, is that consistency. And 2, it's conversations. And so I one time went to a conference, I paid a ton of money, and this woman was like, conversations create sales. Alex was there. I think he knows exactly what I'm talking about. And she was like, had this big whiteboard and she wrote that down. And I was like, I can't believe I paid to hear that out loud. Cause it's like, and you're like, this is my situation right now. But conversations create sales, like having conversations in DMs, responding to your DMs, engaging with people who comment on you. Who are those super fans that like, you can send a voice note to who like they buy everything you do, and you're like, hey, I just was thinking about you the other day, and I was thinking about your business, and I'm excited about what you're up to, or things that are like I'm genuine in that when I like reach out to people, because I'm so grateful for people anyone who gives me $1 like ever, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm indebted, like so I'm so happy to talk to people and like connect with them. So it's about those two-way conversations, because I see a lot of people, the mistake that they make is that they post on social and they ghost. They don't respond to anything. You're not building relationships like that. There's no like relationship that's coming. And people want to feel like they can buy from people that are invested in them. And so, that's what I would say, the 2 pieces.
And probably now more than ever, we can probably speak to this to an extent. The algorithm that exists right now almost has it so that your followers, the people who have chosen to follow you, are seeing less and less of your stuff with a regular basis.
Yeah. What's the stat, Jess? Is it like 4%?
It depends on how many followers you have.
Yeah.
The percentage goes down. The more followers you have, that percentage goes down, but it is very low. It's like
So you're talking like single digit follower percentages are seeing what you're posting at least the first time around. Yeah. Which goes to speak to your point where you have to speak to it ad nauseum, because if you say it 20 times, maybe you got somebody to see it once.
Yeah. And you'll see it too, like the more that you show up and engage with people, the more you show up for people. So it's like, I always use Alex Hormozi as this example. When that man could tell me literally anything. He could be like, hi, I now sell beef jerky. And I'd be like, I'm in. Like, I'm not a vegan, but I'm a vegan and in the situation and I'm buying beef jerky. Like, because I see him so often. So there is something mental about proximity to like, or repetition and proximity of like seeing people over and over again.
Going back to how little, so
what would you suggest? Like, is it like doing a reel constantly or just reposting it? Or because not everyone's seeing your stories, right?
Yeah.
So what would you suggest with keep on posting stuff?
From a frequency standpoint?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, I was actually talking about this a bit at lunch. Like in a way, I would say the way you want to think about this is reels are your like outward strategy. So those are like, that's how you get new people. And stories are how you nurture existing people. So when I'm talking about reels, people aren't, if you're like, hi, I have a dance party, like people aren't going to be like, oh wow, saw that dance party, going to purchase that. Like typically that's not the vibe. I would say I don't know. Maybe a really good reel would get someone, but like people need a bit more nurture. We just have access to buy so many things, right? You can go to Alli's Mastermind. You can come to High Vibe Women. You can go to Powerhouse Women. You can go to Create and Cultivate. You can go to all these different things. All are great, but you have choice. And so there's probably someone else doing dance parties, right? Then they have a choice, right? So what I would say is you want to use your reels to be able to create an audience. So you want to be talking about the problems that your ideal client has. So, you're lonely or you're feeling like you love 90s music and you want to dance and you don't know where, like whatever the problem.
7 till 10, so you're in bed by 11.
Yeah, I love it. So you find whatever the problem is, and you speak to that, and then get people to follow you, and then they're watching your stories, and they're like, wow, like Justine spoke to my problem, and then now I'm in the stories, and like she's actually selling something that makes sense, rather than you being like a dance party, like come to my dance party, like because people don't want that either. And the best thing you can actually do as well is like social proof. So it's one thing for you to sell something, it's another thing for people to sell things for you. So, like, if you are like, oh, like, say your best friend is like, I'm going to use someone else's example. So you have your dance party and say, like, you're like, Victoria, like, come to my dance party. Like, I'm doing this thing from 7 to 10. Like, it's going to be so great. Victoria's like, I don't know. Like, I just followed you on Instagram. Like, I don't know. And Danny's like, oh, I've been to that dance party and it, like, changed my life and I had the best time. Or, like, so things like getting a testimonial from people, having them post about it. And then the other thing I would say is like invest in content creators. Like, Danny and Kayla do great work. Like I actually refer people like to them. Like I had a call with someone the other day and they were like, I live in Burlington. And I was like, I don't want to do your content. So you should work with one of them because you guys do such excellent work. And I think like investing that price and having somebody come and like do that makes such a big difference, and it's an easy sell. Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Okay, this is a great foray into our next question surrounding consistency.
Yeah.
What does that look like for entrepreneurs, small business owners, to be able to show up consistently on social media without burning out?
Yeah.
And then the second part of that is your feelings on upcycling content.
Oh, like, okay, yeah. I like that upcycling, cute. I've never heard that used for anything but clothing. So chic. So I would say burnout is very normal when it comes to content creation. That's actually like the part where like most of my clients, like when they get to us, they're at that point where they're like, I posted, and usually it's like I'm posting 7 times a day and I'm like, I'm burnt out. And I'm like, yeah, me too. I'm burnt out talking about this, because it's like having that consistency is so important, but it doesn't need to be massive amounts of content. So you are better to post twice a week, for the next 5 years. You'll get better results than posting, 14 times in 2 weeks and then never posting again. So I would say like consistency is like whatever, like you can kind of keep up with. It's like kind of, I always use gym analogies. Like I'm like I own Benchmark or something. Like I'm like, like if you go and you work out and, three times a week, that's like probably a very like healthy amount of time to work out. But if you're working out, 14 times in 1 week and then you don't again, that's not healthy, right? And so I think for us, it's figuring out what like feels good is a big piece of it, what you can outsource if you can. But I would say the most important thing is just showing up like really consistently and like having, and also leaning into what you like doing. So if you're like, I hate writing, then LinkedIn and Threads are probably not your platform. If you're like, I hate showing up on video, Instagram might not be it, right? Like you want to find out where it makes the most sense for you to be. Always stretch your limits a little bit, and no problem on upcycling, recycling content. Like I actually think that's great. The thing is people get weird about doing that because they're nervous that people have seen the content before. People are not watching you as closely as you think they are. Like, and if they are, then they are a super fan waiting to buy from you, or they're criticizing you. Like, I don't know what it is. Yeah, or they're like a high school friend waiting for your demise. But But what I would just say is just like really just focusing on like what you can do and building community. It's so much more important for you to be in the DMs, for you to be talking to people, having conversations, than it is for you to be like posting 1 million reels a week.
All right, and then final question on this note about the DMs. How do you feel about a DM voice note?
Oh, I like a DM voice note. I mean, I have mixed thoughts on it only because sometimes like unsolicited voice notes, like I don't know, we get this at High Vibe Women all the time because people are like, oh my God, I saw this event. I really would love to speak. And I'm like, oh, who are you? Like that's a little much for me. But like between friends or people that you know, or like if you're connecting with somebody for the first time, I would, I think it's great. And especially if you don't have an ask. Mm-hmm. If it's like, hey, I loved your content, here's what I'm thinking, or like would love to have you on the podcast or something that would add value to that person. But if you're asking for something, I would prefer an email.
I think I've only ever exclusively like voice note.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love a voice note.
For sure. I feel like voice notes in general just get more of an emotion over.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm always very excited to talk to you.
Aww.
So you can't get that in like a hi, Kristina.
Yes. And I'm so sensitive. So sometimes people will like send me things. I'm like, would an emoji kill you? Would an emoji? would the Lord strike you dead from this emoji?
Are there metrics that matter when you're measuring community engagement versus just audience growth per se? Is there something that moves the needle for you more than anything else?
Yeah, when I saw this question, I was like, yeah, money. That's usually the metric because honestly, I think that's for me the best indicator.
Yeah.
Is there a conversion? So sometimes you can look and you can like rock a reel, and a reel could I've had this happen. I had a reel go viral. I talked about this many times, so if you've heard this before, I'm so sorry. But I had a reel go viral. It was like horrendous. It was so bad. Not the reel was good, but like the response was quite bad because I made a comment about how people should be very clear about what they post on their feed, which is still something that I believe, but I will not say publicly. But even if this, I'm gonna keep this off YouTube. But I was like, oh, unless you're a chef, you shouldn't be posting pasta on your main feed because people get confused, right? Like I one time was about to work with a blender company and all their photos were of cats. And I was like, I'm scared. And also this is not clear, right? So clear is kind. And people were like, F you, like, how dare you tell me what to post? Like, if I want to post pasta, like, I was like, oh my God, like, this is not, like, I'm not.
I don't care that much.
No, I don't care. And if you want to post pasta, I don't care. You're just not going to sell blenders doing it, dude. Like, so anyway, it was a whole thing. Made no money off of that. Actually paid for therapy. Just kidding. But posted another reel that that had like 800 views, let's say, and this was a few years ago, and 800 views, and I was talking about social media, like I was like something good. Good quality, unlike the pasta comment apparently, and I got 2 clients from that. That is way more valuable than my viral post, right? Like I would take that. I would rather have 800 views for the rest of my life and make a client every time I post than have 1 million views, right? So I think we chase virality and like metrics very closely, and we're like, oh, like did that convert? Did this convert? But really, it's like social's kind of hard in a way, and Jess, you probably agree with this too. It's really hard to understand like the ROI on it because someone could be like, I've had this happen many times where someone will come and they're like, oh, I met you through Justine, and she told me about you, and then I creeped all of your social and it looked like you knew what you were talking about. Well, then was it Justine that gave me the referral and then the social that closed the deal? Like, so yeah, I did get ROI on that social, like so it's thinking about it in a bit of a different way. We need social in these times, and so just depends on how you want to do it.
Is there a way that you measure the return on a collaboration besides just dollars, though? At least initially?
Yeah, to be honest, like I would say, like I just know because I know everything's a slow burn. So something I do keep track of, and maybe this is something that would be helpful for folks, especially service-based entrepreneurs, I do keep track of where every single one of my clients comes from. So I know rooms that we've made millions in, and then I also know rooms where I've invested a ton of money and I didn't make any money, and that's also okay. Like, I know, I have a Burlington tag, because I need it for my future home, but I keep track of where my clients are, like where that kind of stuff really helps. But I'm gonna tell you, like, even though we do social, like it's like getting clients from social. It's very rare someone comes to me and they're like, Instagram is where I found you, but my Instagram does get brought up, right? Like while we're talking, so. But I think if you're looking, I think it's really just figuring out like if money isn't what you're making at this point, I would say it's what's starting conversations with people and what's giving you insights. Like what questions are you getting asked that's informing your content, informing how you show up. Yeah.
You're probably one of the best people I've ever met that knows how to play the long game,
mm-hmm.
but not And I don't want to make that sound that like it is something that is going to serve you exclusively. You are always genuinely interested when you're asking the questions and getting in the rooms and asking people what they need help with and kind of pouring in value that way.
Yeah.
But you do it in a way that is so skillful. You do it in a way that obviously that person is seen and they are heard, and you pour in all the value so they're getting whatever it is that they are seemingly needing out of that conversation. But beyond that, once they leave that room and they go back home to Burlington, you don't join them. You have to go back up to Kitchener Waterloo. I'm sorry, but all that
far.
Yeah, all that said, you do a really good job at having them remember you because of how good you are at playing the long game. And my point with this is, and social is no different than what it would be in real life too, in that respect, where you can't really expect to calculate an ROI on something immediately after you've been there. There should be no illusions at all that any of us that are in this room will leave here today at 5:30, and by 6:30 you've made 10 times what you paid to be in this room. That ROI will not be received immediately.
Please give Matt a testimonial if that happens immediately.
Yes. I must know. But I do fully intend on hearing how the ROI does come back to you tenfold or more in the course of the next 365 days. I really believe that's a relevant conversation we could all have a year from now. But it doesn't mean that because it doesn't happen immediately that it doesn't happen at all.
Yeah.
And that's where the value is in what you recognize as such, where you pay a little bit now, you pay a little bit later, but in time, and it's literally nothing other than that, just time, before all of your deposits, there will be a time where you've earned the withdrawal, and you're way ahead of the game accordingly at that point.
Yeah, Jasmine Starr talks about this on a podcast. I love it. And I listen to it probably every 6 months about this idea of withdrawals and deposits. That it's sometimes you're in a season of huge deposits, and sometimes you're in a season of massive withdrawals. And so there's rooms I've been in where it's a room like this where maybe this is an opportunity for me to give a massive deposit to somebody. Karen was like, I'm looking for this. I just made 3 email intros for her. And I was like, yeah, talk to these people, right? And that, and hopefully that works out. And hopefully that's a massive deposit for you. And I have been on the other end of that. I did Chris and Laurie's Elite Mastermind last year, the one Matt and Alli are in now. Would have done it again, but I had a child. And when I was in that room, I was the baby fish. I doubled my revenue that year, which was amazing, but I slid in on the requirements, and I was kind of oh, I'm the baby. And from there, I was the withdraw. Anything anyone would say, I was can you tell me more about that? You tried that, or we're thinking about doing this. And people who had $10 million businesses were okay, I'm gonna just call you quickly and explain this to you, right? So I know that it is my right. I know right's not the word, but privilege, opportunity to do that for other people who are hey, I'm needing a moment, or I'm looking into something and I'm trying to figure this out. And I'm yeah, let me pour into you. So I think with when it comes to that, is how I grow our business so fast. Is this kind of thing, really just showing up, talking to people, just growing with them, and not asking for anything. And I think, and actually it's interesting, Lauren came to our retreat last year. I don't know if Lauren was there. And it's been amazing to see, it's been maybe 10 months, 8 months. They all collaborate with each other, and they're all hiring each other for stuff, or even Matt. Matt is somebody who came to something I ran. He met Alli there, and I feel I'm the grandfather of this. Every referral Alli gives Matt, I feel I'm the fairy godmother on, even though Steve might be above me. But I see it, and then I'm oh, he's working with Jess today, and then he's with Charlene, and then he's with this person, and then he's cold plunging, and I'm I made that happen. That was me. But it's so great. But
you'd be a great network marketer, right?
Right? Oh, yeah, I think about it all the time.
Your upline. Oh my god.
I honestly,
Diamond Club for sure.
If I was on the internet, marketing 5 years earlier, I would be selling shakes. I would be, I just have started another business I'm too deep in now to start selling shakes. But you guys would all be having shakes. That's all I'm saying. But because it's all about relationship. And I think if you are I think what's really important for me is a heart of service as much as possible. And not all relationships are going to give back. And that's a huge piece, is that there is a long game wait, and sometimes you're waiting and you're hi, that's never, or you just did something really weird. So we're probably not going to collaborate, even though I went first and gave. But I have received so much over the years that I'm willing to take those kinds of risks, because all the other ones will pay off. And even if it's not financially, it's you might meet somebody, this happens all the time, but you might meet somebody and they actually might know somebody who you're looking for. And that's why you have to give everybody the time of day. You have no idea. Like some of my biggest client referrals have come from people I've been in a room with like this, who had tiny, like, maybe they had a tiny business. And I was like, I could have been like, oh, your business, like, it's just a side hustle. You're doing this at night. Like, what do I have to learn from you? Tons, right? Like I have something to learn from everybody. And I think that has to be the attitude you go into all these spaces with, because you never know. Like I've learned so much from everybody.
Okay, before we wrap up, we have a couple of rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
And you did
I'm
not
sweating.
get to see these ones. So, question number 1.
If you can instantly have 1 million followers on any platform, which one and why?
Oh my God, I only want moderate fame, guys. I'm looking for I'm gonna be, at 10K, I'm wrapping up. Like I'm done. I don't know, I guess Instagram, but I'd be turning all the comments off on everything, so.
But why? Why Instagram versus say
Oh.
YouTube?
It's rapid fire.
No, but that's part of the question is why. I
Oh.
want to know why.
Too slow. Because it's such a good community platform and you can have such good conversations with people. And I think because of you're able to DM back and forth, and I think people share so much of their lives there. And so that's why.
Okay, question 2. What are you seeing on social media right now that makes you cringe?
People using AI to make videos, and they're creepy, they're using it to be their faces. I'm like, just record the video, please. I'm begging you, just record the video.
What's the first social media platform you ever signed up for?
I guess MySpace.
Okay.
Right? Right? I get, Facebook would have been the OG, and then I've done it all, guys. I've done it all.
Is there one that you haven't?
I haven't done Blue Sky. Has anybody done Blue Sky? Is that what it's called? No. But
OnlyFans?
Yeah. OnlyFans I missed out on as well. Right? If I was going to start an Isogenics, I would have went right for an OnlyFans as well.
I'll show you shake.
Yeah. I'll show you a shake. I'm dead. Okay. Which kind of shake you want to pay for? I'm a mother. I can't.
Okay, I think I know the answer to this question, but if you could collaborate with anyone in the world for one campaign, who would it be?
Oh my God, who do you think it is?
Do you say first?
Oh, I don't know. This is stressing me out. On a personal collaboration, it would be me and this person. I think it'd be Jenna Kutcher.
I nailed it.
Yeah, really?
Nailed it.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
two besties. Jenna Kutcher, I think. Because she was kind of how I got into the online space. I was on my honeymoon, I was listening to her podcast, I don't know why, and Told God Thing, and I'm listening to her podcast, and I'm kind of I don't really like working. And then I realized I wanted to work 24/7, so
That works well for you. Yeah, solid trading.
yeah.
All right, Matt's excited for the final question.
I love asking these questions to people at dinner parties and whatnot. It always ends up being really fun. What was your first email address?
Oh, okay. So this is so boring, but it shows you how serious I am. I think I'm fun in real life, but I'm so serious.
That's what's
Christina
gonna be
Bartold
funny,
at
too.
Hotmail.com.
It was Kristina Bartold at hotmail.com.
Oh, boring.
So embarrassing.
Horrible.
I was 12 being I need to think of my future. That's,
Universities are gonna see this.
I've always, even last week I was Josh, do you think we should get Jack an email address? And Josh was no. And I'm no, think through it. What if Jack's go to gmail.com's taken? He's I don't think it's gonna be taken. What if you's gonna take it? I'm doing it tonight, but yeah.
That's awesome.
You're the best.
Oh, love you guys. This is
Thank
so
you
fun.
for being here. How can everyone find you and connect with you?
You can
And work
find-
with you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram until I hit 10K. So, Kristina.Bartold is my name with a K. And then I have the Social Snippet, which is social media podcast agency. So if you have any podcast streams or social, feel free to connect. And then High Vibe Women, if you want to come.
Use code Alli to save $50
Yeah.
on your ticket.
Code's Alli50. But use that code Alli50. And I'm always truly of service. I love to I don't know, the people who know me a little better in here, I love to jam out on people's businesses and really if you're looking for an intro to anybody or anything, let me know. I'm always happy to help.
Any questions for the amazing Kristina Bartold?
Oh, so nice.
You talked about it's difficult to quantify the
Yeah.
return, the ROI. But so how long have you been doing it, I guess is the first question. And based on the data that you have, do you know what your margins are just based off the marketing that you're doing?
My personal,
Yeah.
for my own business?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough because I would say, the majority of our clients don't come from marketing. For our business, the majority of our clients truly come from this kind of thing, networking, partner referrals. That's kind of my jam. And you'll find a lot of social media agencies, they don't have social. Like, because there's so many people that like, there's not really a need to like advertise a ton, which is great. But I would say there are things you can do to track the ROI. I'm not saying that like, okay, guys, like, give people tons of money and don't look for a return. Like there's like lots, and Jess, I don't know, maybe you can speak to this too, but like you will see inquiries come in from social. You can also track some of that on the back end of your website. Like you can see like if you get a form on your website or an inquiry, are people coming in from Instagram? You can use AI tools like ManyChat to be able to like see people get into your email list. Email list growth is one of my favorite ways to track like kind of return on investment on social, because you're actually funneling people from social into an email list, and that like email just converts better. I don't know, Jess, if you want to speak to this too.
If you're talking about from like a client standpoint, so like working with a social media client, like what should we be looking at as a business that runs their accounts? What should we be looking at on the back end to make sure their content is working? I don't know if that's kind of the way, or more this way.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there are things you can look at. There's analytics you can pull, obviously, from, Meta Business Suite or directly from Instagram or whatever platform you're using. You can pull that information. But I like to look at it. I send my clients monthly analytics reports looking at what's been happening with their content over the month. But it is tricky because you could have one post that goes viral and the analytics show you, June relative to May. So it'll say you've had a, X% increase in June relative to May. But if in June you had one post that went viral, your numbers are going to look great, but the rest of it could have been not so great. So you really have to be kind of watching it, in real time, but then also looking, at a 3-month snapshot or a 1-month snapshot, and just really paying attention to those numbers. And if you do see those huge spikes some months or drops other months, you can then go in and dive in deeper and say, okay, what is there a piece of content, did one thing go viral that's spiking it up kind of, unrealistically, or, has the numbers are down this month, let's take a look at the content, what's going wrong, and making adjustments based on that. So you're looking at things like reach, engagement, views, follower increase, things like that. But again, that doesn't necessarily give you information on sales. So, if that's what you're wanting the numbers on, then looking at things like clicks through to your email, clicks within your email. In stories, it's great because if you have a link directly going to a sales page on your website or something where someone can actually purchase through a link, you can track how many people open that link, and then you can kind of look at the timing, like, okay, they opened that link and they landed on my website. I got a few sales, probably from Instagram, from the Instagram story that I posted. So it's not that simple. Like Kristina said, it's not easy to look at ROI. So when businesses come to me, probably the same to you, so what's your ROI? That's not something you can answer. Just
it sucks.
Like that with social media. It does suck because, again, you could have a huge ROI from somebody following you, watching your stuff for 2 months, and then deciding to visit your website and purchase. But it's so hard to track that they've been watching you for all that time and that it actually came from social. So that's.
You're in for so much fun, Andrew.
Yeah, it's an ecosystem.
Okay, speaking of fun, we do have more fun things to dive into, but we can't do that until we have a minimum of 3 gratitudes for Kristina. So she has poured so much value into everyone in the room that it is only fair that we pour back into her, and we're not going anywhere until we get a minimum of 3.
This is easy. Who wants to go first?
Karen.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your energy. You're so fun to talk to. I can listen to you all day.
I know.
Oh, it's so nice.
And now I'm going to listen to your podcast.
Oh, thank you.
I listened to a lot of your podcasts on the way home from the cottage the other day,
Oh,
which was great. But I'm truly inspired by you. You're like someone I look at like, wow, she's killing it, continues to kill it. And I think the way that your heart is so into community, despite such a successful business, you could just be a successful business owner, but you're so much more than that in terms of like in rooms like this, the events you run, just how I see you show up online. So yeah, thank you for doing that.
Thank you so much. So nice.
Justine?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well,
I was like, I'm fine with 2. 2 is fine.
I I said it to her before we sat down, but I'm gonna say it so
Yeah.
you can hear it.
Oh,
So,
sorry.
one thing too is that I reached out to Kristina, and it really came from a place of not selling her. It really came from a place of like, hey, did you know she was launching her first retreat? You need to work with a travel agent. And I was like, you have a platform. So I'm reaching, it was the first time I've ever done like that, right? And she was very welcoming and did not feel like I wasn't embarrassed for reaching out, you know, and now I'm helping her with her retreat coming up in October. And so this was just a lovely space because we don't know each other because it was just very transactional with that. And it's just, you give so much. And we had a conversation. I was like, it'd be a great, conversation. She's like, yeah, let's book a call, right? So just thank you. It's been such a pleasure you being in this space today. Like it really has.
Oh, thanks, guys. This is so fun. This is like more fun for me than anything. Like I'm like, yeah. I should probably watch my child soon, but like I'm like, yeah, I love this. Yeah.
We are so
Thank
grateful
you.
for you, and you're one of our bestest friends, and we just love creating with you and growing with you, and are so grateful for your time and energy and like immense value that you pour into everybody in our community. So thank you for taking a full day out of your new mom era
happy to.
and spending it with us.
So happy to actually. Thanks, guys. That'll be it.